Getting organized, getting organized, getting organized. I'll tell you what, I'd say 95% of the individuals that I work with have this in common. And I'll throw myself in the same category as 95%. And it is when you're in the middle of life, you got kids, you got all these different, scenarios that it's just time commitments are the biggest struggle for getting organized. It's already boring as it is. A lot of these financial topics, I find them interesting because I'm a financial planner, but a lot of people don't find them interesting. And when you're not interested in something, it's hard to stay focused and get it accomplished. And so that's one of the value adds of working with a financial planner is that they're going to help hold you accountable for getting the documents. So I can tell somebody what to do big picture, but it's not until I see a specific document that is going to confirm a decision or confirm these are the options that are on the table. So whenever I say step one of retiree planning, and it's the same step whenever you're in your working years, it is figuring out how to get organized. And there's a couple ways to do it. So with the launch Excel file, the living budget that I've created, so that is something that you can use as a tool, whether you're retired or pre-retired or still in your working years, doesn't matter. The goal is to figure out what goes where. And once you know how much you're living off of as far as budget, monthly income, monthly expenses, how much you are anticipating that your monthly expenses are going to be in retirement, and also your monthly income sources, that right there is the biggest piece to the puzzle that you can figure out. Tax planning, figuring out tax rates in retirement, Roth conversions, that kind of stuff. Those are, I would call, secondary items. Getting organized and figuring out where your income sources are coming from, those two decisions right there are going to allow you to do the prep work for making the next couple decisions. And the next couple decisions are going to be decisions such as deciding on what type of investment portfolio you want to have through your retirement years. And I'll go ahead and share with you, and a lot of this information is in my book, Divided Money. We talk about a lot of the financial traps, the financial industry traps in retirement. And one of those is that people get sold annuities a lot of times. A lot of times people don't buy annuities, and I'm not knocking annuities. It's just they pay out very well to the financial individual, the financial professional that is using the annuity. And sometimes it's not always the best interest of the consumers to take their income from an annuity. Now, is an option? Yes, it's 100% an option. So I'm going to have a completely different episode talking about annuity expectations, but it's the reason why we want to figure out what your income sources are going to be before you retire. Because if you pull the trigger on buying a annuity, or buying ultimately an annuity is going to be giving you an income stream, if you pull the trigger too early, that means you might be pulling out of the market too early. You might be giving up 5 to 7 years of extra growth that might very well be the difference between an extra couple $100,000 in retirement versus tapping out too soon because you were afraid, and then next thing you know, it wasn't a very good annuity either way. So the thing about getting organized and figuring out what your income sources are, be it annuity types or streams from an annuity, variable annuities, fixed index annuities, single premium immediate annuities. There's different annuity types, but ultimately they are providing you an income stream. So if you know that your portfolio is going to kick off 4%, and let's just say 4% of $1 million. So you're kicking off $40,000 a year in income there. Then let's figure out what kind of income is going to be coming off of Social Security. That might be another $30,000 to $50,000 there. Well, now you've showed up at a position to where you're like, you know what? I only need an extra $15,000. And I've got this portfolio that it's a smaller portfolio, but I can take an extra $15,000 a year, and maybe you don't have to purchase an annuity at all. So a lot of times the individual that's going to be pushing the annuity is going to be an individual that only sells annuity. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing whenever they don't present all of the other options of income sources and just saying, hey, this is what you need, go ahead and sign here. I'm completely against that scenario. I'm not against annuities. I'm against not knowing what all the options were on the table. That's what I'm against. So the big thing about this episode is two things: getting organized, figuring out all the different data pieces that you're going to be able to put your hand of cards on the table and figure out what you got, and figuring out what your income sources are going to be it a portfolio income, social security income, real estate income, some type of business income. Maybe it's a sale of a business. It doesn't matter. Figuring out what your income sources are, I always like to start there. Get organized, figure out what your income sources are, and we can slowly start working through the rest of the decisions that have to be made. So we'll dive into portfolio expectations and real estate strategies in the next episode, and that's going to be it for this episode of the Main Street Money Show podcast.